Hey Liam, let me ask you something. Almost every English learner has experienced that uncomfortable moment when a conversation is going well and then suddenly, boom, total silence. They have no idea what to say next. Why does that happen so often?
That's a huge question, Emma. Most learners immediately blame their English level and think, if I just knew more advanced vocabulary, this wouldn't happen. But in reality, the issue isn't their English at all. It's how they're approaching the conversation.
That makes so much sense. We always default to thinking our English isn't good enough the second we get stuck.
Exactly. But if you watch native speakers, they aren't constantly filtering through a mental dictionary for brilliant, complex words. They keep the momentum going using surprisingly simple language.
So if the secret isn't knowing more English, what is it?
It's understanding the flow. Native speakers don't treat conversations like a job interview or a test where you just give a correct answer. They treat it like a game of catch.
A game of catch, like throwing a ball back and forth?
Exactly. If I throw the ball to you, you don't just catch it and hold on to it. You have to throw it back. But most learners treat questions like a dead end. For example, if someone asks, "What did you do this weekend?" a learner might just say, "I stayed home," and stop there.
I mean, the grammar is 100% correct.
Completely correct. But you just kept the ball, Emma. The conversation has nowhere to go now because you gave a flat answer instead of building an exchange. The other person has absolutely nothing left to work with.
Right. It forces the other person to do all the heavy lifting to keep the conversation alive.
Precisely. Instead of trying to build massive, complicated sentences from scratch, you just need to use small conversational building blocks, like Legos, to answer and toss the ball back at the same time.
That feels much more natural.
Because it gives the other person multiple hooks they can respond to. They could ask about the series, or they could talk about their own weekend.
I think many learners are afraid of saying too much, but keeping answers extremely short creates a completely different problem.
And that problem is exactly what causes those awkward silences.
That's fascinating because learners are just trying to avoid mistakes, but they're accidentally making conversations much harder for themselves.
That's exactly what's happening.
Another thing I've noticed is that some people seem incredibly easy to talk to. What makes them different?
One of the biggest reasons is that they're genuinely curious.
That's interesting because most people assume being a great conversationalist means being a great speaker.
In reality, being a great conversationalist often means being a great listener.
That makes sense.
Think about the people you enjoy talking to most. They seem genuinely interested in what you're saying. That's one of the biggest secrets of conversation.
So, curiosity is more important than having impressive things to say?
Much more important. Because curiosity naturally generates questions, and questions keep the conversation moving.
I think many learners spend all their energy trying to think of answers. That's a completely different approach.
It really is.
Can you give us another example?
Imagine someone says, "I just got back from a trip to California." A learner might respond with something like, "That's nice," which is polite, sure, but it doesn't create any momentum.
So, what would a curious person do?
They might ask, "What was your favorite part of the trip?" That instantly creates a new direction for the conversation. And the other person now has something interesting to talk about.
I think many learners underestimate simple questions.
They really do, because they think fluency requires complicated language.
What are some examples that learners could start using immediately?
Questions like, "How was it?" "What happened next?" "How did that go?" "What was that like?" and "Would you do it again?" are incredibly useful.
Those all seem so easy to remember.
That's because the best conversation tools are usually the simplest ones.
It definitely is. Another problem I see is that learners often panic when they don't know what to say immediately.
That's very common because silence feels uncomfortable, especially when you're speaking a second language.
Absolutely. What do native speakers do when they need a moment to think?
Instead of immediately trying to build a complete response, they just acknowledge what the other person said first.
Could you give us an example?
Imagine someone says, "I finally got the job I've been trying to get." A native speaker might first say, "That's amazing," before saying anything else. That quick reaction creates a natural pause, and it keeps the conversation flowing.
That's such a useful technique. Instead of immediately searching for a long response, you simply react naturally.
That's right. And that reaction buys you more time to think.
I think many learners would benefit from that because they often freeze when they feel under pressure. Those quick reactions help prevent that.
They help a lot.
We've already talked about expanding answers, showing curiosity, asking follow-up questions, and reacting naturally. What other techniques do native speakers use to keep conversations going?
One of the most powerful techniques is something many learners completely overlook, and that's sharing personal experiences.
So, how does sharing personal experiences help?
It transforms a conversation from an interview to a real interaction. Imagine someone says, "I started learning how to play the guitar,"
A learner might simply say, "That's great."
which is a perfectly good reaction. But there's still room to continue. A native speaker might say, "That's great. I tried learning guitar a few years ago, but I never got very good at it."
That immediately adds something new to the conversation. It creates an instant connection between both people.
Exactly. The other person can now grab that ball and ask about your experience, or they can talk more about theirs. Either way, the momentum stays alive.
So, just sharing these small, personal experiences is what makes conversations feel so natural?
Much more natural. Because at the end of the day, that's exactly how real conversations work.
But, Liam, I think many learners constantly worry that their lives or their experiences aren't interesting enough.
Oh, that's another huge misconception. They default to thinking that conversations are about impressing people, when in reality, they're just about connecting with people.
Wow. So you don't need these extraordinary, mind-blowing stories. You simply need to contribute to the interaction.
Precisely. And that's something absolutely everyone can do.
Another thing I've noticed is that some people seem able to move effortlessly from one topic to another. It's like magic.
That's a specific skill native speakers develop naturally over time.
Is that where conversation bridges come into play?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
I think conversation bridges are something many learners hear all the time, but don't really understand how to use.
That's so true, because they're completely invisible until you actually start paying attention to them. They do all the heavy lifting to help conversations flow smoothly from one topic to the next without creating those awkward, jarring transitions.
I love that. Could you give us some real examples of these bridges?
Native speakers constantly use small conversational phrases like, "That reminds me. Speaking of that, by the way," and "I was actually thinking about that recently."
Oh, I've definitely heard all of those before. But how do you actually drop them into a real conversation without sounding forced?
Imagine someone is talking about traveling, and you suddenly remember a trip you took. Instead of just jumping in and changing the subject abruptly, which totally breaks the momentum, you throw the ball back using a bridge. That reminds me of a trip I took last summer.
Wow, that sounds incredibly natural.
Exactly, because it creates an instant logical connection between the two topics. It makes the transition seamless instead of feeling completely random.
I think many learners struggle with that exact moment. They get stuck because they just don't know how to transition between ideas.
And that's a huge reason why conversations suddenly feel uncomfortable or robotic. But these small phrases completely solve that problem. They are the ultimate shortcuts.
That's amazing. Earlier, you mentioned the power of reacting naturally to buy your brain some time before building a complete response. Are there specific go-to reactions native speakers use all the time?
All the time. They constantly throw out simple phrases like, "That's awesome," "That's great," "That's interesting," "Good for you," and "No way."
But Liam, those expressions seem almost too simple.
They are simple, Emma, and that's exactly why they're so powerful. They immediately show massive engagement.
Meaning they show the other person, hey, I'm right here listening to you.
Exactly. I think many learners become so completely trapped in their own heads, focusing 100% of their energy on preparing their next perfect sentence, that they forget to just react to what's happening right in front of them.
Right. And when you don't react, the conversation instantly loses its warmth and feels way less natural.
Much less natural. It kills the flow.
Another massive hurdle that learners often struggle with is small talk. Why does small talk feel like such a mountain to climb for so many people?
Because, honestly, many learners completely underestimate its true importance.
That's interesting because people often judge small talk just by the surface level content. Could you explain that a little more?
Think about it like this. Imagine two people waiting in line for coffee. One person turns to the other and says, "Looks like it's going to rain later." That's classic small talk.
Right. They're obviously not sharing life-changing information.
Exactly. They aren't trying to debate climate change. They're just using the weather as a small building block to acknowledge each other. They're creating a connection.
That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, understanding that helps learners feel so much less pressure.
A ton less pressure. Because now you don't need to constantly stress about finding these fascinating, brilliant topics to talk about.
I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from today's video. But Liam, another thing I've noticed is that some people seem incredibly comfortable talking, even when they know absolutely nothing about the topic. How do they pull that off?
That's because they're relying on curiosity rather than expertise. Think about it like this. You don't need to know a single thing about photography to have a great conversation with a photographer. You just need to be genuinely interested in what they do.
Wow, that is a powerful idea. Your questions create opportunities for them to throw the ball back.
Exactly. And that's so encouraging because anyone can be curious. In fact, curiosity is one of the absolute fastest ways to completely transform your conversations.
So, if someone finds themselves constantly getting stuck in conversations today, that doesn't mean they'll always struggle.
Not at all. It's not an English level problem. They simply need better tools. Expand your answers. Share small personal experiences. Use conversation bridges to jump between topics. React naturally to buy time. And above all, stay curious.
When you put all those pieces together like Legos, conversations suddenly feel so much easier, right?
They really do, because you're no longer trapped in your head just trying to survive the conversation. You're actually participating in it. Now, before you go, tell us in the comments, what is the exact situation where you run out of things to say most often?
We'd love to hear your answers. And if you enjoyed this lesson and want to keep building your fluency, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
And if you want practical, real-world English that you can use every single day, make sure you click and watch our next lesson, Daily English for a Productive Week. You'll learn the exact expressions native speakers use to plan their week, stay organized, manage priorities, and communicate with total confidence.
It's the absolute perfect next step if you want English you can start using immediately.
We'll see you right over in the next lesson.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Keep learning, keep speaking, and keep the conversation going.
Bye.
Bye.